Absolutely nothing of the following drivel has been generated by AI. This week, the fold and roll phone. Microsoft now worth $3 trillion. Sony making more money than Samsung. Fossil leaving smartwatch business. A new audio mixer from Yamaha. And Microsoft Edge. Scary. Hello and welcome to the Tech Addicts Podcast. I'm your host Gareth, and this be Ted. Ted, how be ye?
I be marvellous, thank you, Gareth. And lovely it is to hear your voice on this marvellous Sunday morning. Why are we talking like this?
I don't know, you started it.
No, I didn't, you did.
I didn't.
Bollock brain.
Did I?
Right, weather report first. First things first. Looking out the window now, it's overcast and gloomy and about 12 degrees. There's a train gone by already. And the forecast says wind is on its way. Boo.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, it's somewhat overcast here. It has been raining heavily, but it's bloody hot.
Yeah.
I took off McCarty. I was so hot.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's gone kind of mild. It switched really quickly from being seriously cold to being kind of the normal, boring UK weather we get.
Yes. And I guess it's in the run-up to the summer, which is probably going to be a scorcher.
Oh, my word. Don't you start. Air conditioner out again. God help us.
Well, how's your week been? Have you been in good health and smiling?
Yes, thank you. I've not had any dreadful week-long stomach bugs since I last spoke to you. I mean,
Excellent.
since I last spoke to you, but since we last recorded, I have. But I reported that on Whatever Works. Do listen to Whatever Works, everyone. A lovely podcast which came out last week. And the other thing that I've done is I've decided that I'm bored with every mobile phone on the planet. And I want something different. So I've ended up with the Microsoft Surface Duo 2. And I know all of its foibles and all the rest of it, but at least it's different. At least it's not.
You don't want to do that.
At least
you
it's
don't
not.
want to do that.
At least it's not a bloody Apple and a bloody Samsung and rapidly a bloody Google. So I don't want to. I don't want to be a sheep doing the same as everyone else.
Yes.
You still got an upgrade looming, haven't you?
I do, yes, and I'm thinking of going for the Orange San Francisco.
Yay!
Quite fancy that, yeah.
They're great days. I was saying to you before we recorded that 10 years ago, every time we recorded PSC, we had a new phone, or even more than one. During the days of HTC and all that, and every week there would just be something interesting and different, and differently shaped, and did different things. But now it's just like these boring slabs that are all the same, isn't it?
Well, I'm just having a quick look through the latest devices on GSM Arena. There's the Infinix Smart 8 Plus. There's the Lava Yuva 3. There's the Ulefone Note 17 Pro. There's the Motorola G24, the Realme 12, OnePlus Nord, Huawei Nova Y30 or 72, and they all look exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly. And all of those devices that you just mentioned, no one will touch anyway. Well, they will in China, but have you ever seen an Infinix phone? I never have.
No, but then just off air, Ted was saying to me when I was talking about my potential upgrade and how I would pick the Galaxy S24, just for something a wee bit different, going from a big phone down to a small phone, because that's the biggest change you can make at the moment. Mm-hmm. Ted suggested, why don't you go for, what was the Zen phone you suggested?
The Zen Phone 10, which has got Qi charging now.
Yeah. To which my reply was, why would I go for that? Because then I'm not going to be guaranteed 7 years of updates in the event that I decide to keep the S24 for anything longer than 2 years.
Which is unlikely. But I do take the point, and this is where the big players have got people by the short and curlies if upgrades are important, because they, no one else is matching it. Well, apart from Fairphone, everyone else is kind of floundering back down around the 2 or 3 years if you're lucky.
Hang on a second, there's a phone coming out in 2020, January of 2024 with a T9 keyboard.
Oh, yeah, we spoke... isn't that... Oh, no, okay. Oh, yeah.
Energizer E242S.
Oh, right.
And there's the Energizer E244S, which was out in December there.
Energizer,
nice.
Weren't they the company that made those phones with the whacking great big batteries in them? Like 22,000 milliamp hours or something?
They might have done, but they're also doing little flip phones as well for, I don't know, certain markets.
Oh, right.
1,000 milliamp hour batteries inside. FM radio, MediaTek MT6261D. Ooh,
1,000 milliamp hour battery. That won't get you far.
It will whenever you see the form factor. It's a flip phone with a T9 keyboard, much like you had 20 years ago.
Yay, those are the days.
Yeah, they're doing loads of them. They never stop doing them.
There's also Doro phones.
Yes, my mother has one of those, and it's a chore. She takes pictures with it, and to get the pictures off it ain't that easy.
Anyway, we'll get told off for talking about phones. We get letters, don't we?
Not this week, no.
Oh no, we haven't got any letters this week. No
feedback. That's why we're warbling on, just, starting the show with a bit of a warble, because that's how we can plan to continue. Yeah. So, it's not long till Christmas, is it?
11 months and 3 days. No.
Brilliant.
10 months and 27 days, I think it is.
Aye, that'll be about right, yeah. Oh, it's February now. Yeah. Valentine's Day is just around the corner. We're going to start getting all those offers, aren't we? With 2 for 1 from Samsung, where you can spend £3,000 on 2 phones. Give one to the one you love.
Oh right, I don't remember that one. Is that a thing they do?
I think I've seen something like that in the past, or maybe some of those, Mobile Phones Direct or mobiles.co.uk maybe do plans for you and the loved one.
Yeah, for people that are not interested in phones, they just want the jewellery.
Yeah, or just want a similar SIM as their hubby or wifey.
The Ring is the thing that's going to be coming soon. Mrs. The Ring, Samsung's Ring, I reckon. I think that's going to be the thing of 2024. Everyone's going to be going nuts about the health ring thingy, and then once Samsung are doing it, Google will do it, and then Apple will do it eventually. Do you think it'll just be a crap fad that very few people took out? No.
And Samsung will probably drop and quietly move aside.
No. But that's fine. We can have a side bet on that. We'll have a shilling on the side, shall we?
Well, I was thinking the anklet might be the way forward, or perhaps a nice necklace, pendant.
Yeah,
smart pendant.
I've spoken a long time about pendants, and I don't understand why they, like the whole nurse thing, the fob with the watch on it, or the pendant, or at one time they were talking about having this thing that you laced into your shoes, so you could, instead of wearing a watch, you laced a clock into the laces of your shoes. When you wanted to...
Oh, no, they did do those. My wife's got one.
Has she?
Yeah. I can't remember what it's called. I saw the box the other day. It begins with like a V or a Z or something.
You can look down and just see the time on
it. No, well, this is more like a smart pedometer thing that you run with, and it counts your steps and all that kind of stuff. But it's got a load of smart stuff in it.
Now, if you've got Crocs, you can sometimes find these things that go into the holes in Crocs that do the same thing. But anyway, the point is that yes, we could do with some more innovation. But I reckon that the Ring will be the thing.
The butt plug. We get smart butt plugs.
Wasn't that the title of the last show? The ring is the thing. The ring thing. I think
Yeah,
it
but
was.
that's not to do with butt plugs. That's to do
No.
with the ones that go on your fingers.
Yes.
Yes. Don't be rude,
Sorry.
crude, or anything like that, Ted. That's disgusting. We'll move on to the news, muse, and views section, where we're going to start with. Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah. Step aside foldables and say hello to the fold and roll. And this is coming from Motorola. And it's called the Riser, R-I-Z-R. Nothing rude there, Ted. Nothing rude. Tell us about this.
Well, the Riser we saw before. It was a concept phone that they brought out actually over a year ago. I think it was at MWC last year. You remember it kind of just rolls up and it rises. That's just why it's called a Riser. Of course, that's never made it into production. And this patent that Motorola have lodged also probably won't make it into production. But it's interesting to look at it. So they've taken the Riser concept, they've taken the folding concept, and they've made it 2 panels instead of the one riser, and they've put risers on both sides of the folding phone. So you open it up, and each side rises. And this, as I say, this will probably never make it into production, but it's an interesting idea, and it's just nice to see these patents and see what people are doing, and you know, what might take off and what might not take off. Can you see that something that would be of? So you let's consider a Samsung Fold 4, for example, or Fold 5. You open it up, so you've got a big screen in front of you, and then suddenly you can press a button and both sides of it, or maybe independently, one side or the other, goes upwards to make it into a bigger tablet, and presumably then you can turn it sideways and make it into a big landscape kind of view of a tablet instead of a almost square.
Yeah, I remember these were going to be a big thing, and yeah, not from the fold point of view, but from the regular point of view, where you just had a tablet that would extend from 5 inches to 10 inches with the click of a button. But I don't know where Fandroid has got that picture from, but it's a really badly done cut and paste job, and I'll stick it in the title cover for the podcast just so you can have a look. But it does. It looks. It doesn't look like something you'd want to take with you, really, outside of the house.
No.
Or outside of a drawer.
Apparently it's come from websiterating.com via XLeaks.
Yes. But, yeah, okay. Rather than having the typical patent drawing that we would normally have, they've decided to illustrate it with this instead. It has the potential to turn some heads, but I don't think it's going to change the market very much.
We shall see.
Too many moving parts. And can you make one side go up and one side not go up? Could you make it go up at a slant?
That's the question, isn't it? Whether you can do both or just one independently.
Yeah.
And if you'd want to do one independently, or whether the two join together when it's open, who knows?
Well, all right. Well, let's see what happens. But in the meantime, we're going to do a wee bit of a hark back here, because you remember those emails that you used to get where they would be long, scammy emails that said, "I've been filming you on your webcam, and if you don't send me £1 million today in Bitcoin, I'm going to release the video of you doing naughty things to yourself to all of your family, friends, and all over the internet."
No, I've never seen that.
Oh, no? Really? I've seen the videos. They have noticed that those sorts of ransomwares have gone down in popularity, thankfully.
I think it's probably more in corporate circles rather than little boys playing with themselves in front of computers.
I wouldn't say little boys. I used to get them through to my Gmail all the time. But I haven't seen one in a long time. I figured it was maybe just the spam blockers has started to recognise those kinds of scammy, fraudy emails coming in. So it did. But the likes of where the National Health Service was done, those types of ransomware seems to be on the decline because people are refusing to pay, which is terrific. although, given what your man over in America said, the head of the FBI, he said that China is sort of positioning itself with a really big hack coming toward America. And America needs to be on the edge, they needs to be there, ready to defend themselves, because there's a big, they reckon, hack coming that's going to cripple their economy and send them back to the Dark Age, which would then send the rest of the world spiraling out of control, and will all, not be able to go outside or eat lentil soup or things like that. There's all these kind of ramifications.
It sounds very Bond-ish.
Does. And coming from the head of the FBI, there must be something there, but I don't think it's anything really to do with these, but it looks like the ransomware attacks are on the way down. Ted.
I think one of the reasons that the ransomware attacks have gone down, or rather are not being paid, and the reduction
because no one has any money.
Well, yeah, there is that as well. But it apparently, in 2019, 85% of victim companies were paying the criminals. Then it went down to 46% the year after. And then last year it was 29% that paid the ransom. And I think part of the reason why this is that companies are getting ready for it. So unlike when some of these companies fell apart because they had no way of backing up and getting back to what they were doing and backed up data to make it all go away very quickly, everyone seems to be now being prepared for that. So they're saying if they get a ransomware coming in, they just say, well, sod off, we're not paying because we've got stuff in place now, so it won't matter. And I seem to remember Fujifilm were one of the first ones to do that. They stuck their two fingers up at the ransomware people and said, no, we're ahead of you on this. We don't care. You do what you like because we've got backups and we'll be back up and running before you can say Fanny's your aunt.
Quite true, yes. And everyone should be running a backup, or at least 3, eh, Ted?
Yes, indeed. You're talking my language.
Yeah, that's why you don't see those emails anymore, because they know you've gone public and said, I've got 3 backups.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So, social media and social media. I found a film that I worked on years ago on YouTube. It was called Mortis. That was one of the first things I ever did. It was a wee short film that was made in Belfast. And the leading actor, I'd forgotten, he keeps saying, I sell multimedia equipment. Just the way he says it, I'm now saying media instead of media, which is a real kind of Callibaki type Northern Ireland accent. Yeah. So social media is now a public health hazard, according to New York City. Isn't that something? That's quite an elevation, or escalation. Given TikTok and Instagram are considered environmental toxins that impose harm to young teens and adolescents. Wow. So it appears that politicians are declaring war on social media.
They're not doing anything about it, though, are they?
No, they won't make as much money out of it.
They reckon they've got some plan to, but they're not saying what the plan is. They're saying in the coming years we are going to manage this and we're going to change it, but they're not saying what strategy they're actually going to do in the near future to sort it out.
Because they have to come up with it first.
Yes, exactly. It's just some mayor of New York deciding that he wants some votes, isn't it? We're going to sort this out, and most of it, I think, comes down to people like you controlling your brats that are using social media and family stuff, and saying, I'm not washing my hands of what my kids do. I am being responsible as a parent and controlling it, and that's down to people like you.
My son doesn't have social media.
There you are, then.
He's on YouTube, and that's about it. But it's arguably not social media. He's not on TikTok, Instagram. You're the only one here who has social media like that, being the UK's #1 TikTok fan.
Well, I wouldn't quite go that far, but certainly at my age, I think it's probably a bit late to be considered to be a public health hazard. But yeah, doom scrolling.
It is, given what you search for.
Yes, doom scrolling seems to be what it's being called now. I do spend quite a lot of time doom scrolling, I guess, when I've got downtime. I'm not doing anything else, and I just, if I'm bored, I'll pick up my phone and I'll doom scroll through TikTok and have a laugh for an hour or half an hour.
Ted, you called it bikini scrolling.
I don't know. For me, I don't think there's any real risk of being. I'm getting towards being dead anyway, so it won't really matter, will it? But if you're,
Well, you could go blind.
if you're, if you're 10 years old, I think it's just a bit different. How old's your son?
He's 11. He's 11.
There you
yeah.
go.
And I've got all that to look forward to. He's about to go into big school, so he's going to be wanting to have TikTok and
schools. They're responsible. They should be responsible too. We'll come to another item about that a bit later, about the responsibility of schools and controlling people's behaviour. But anyway, I think it's down to the adults to control all this, not to give votes to the bloody mayor of New York.
Yeah, true. So Microsoft is now a $3 trillion company. That's quite a lot of money they have there, or worth. It's not that they have $3 trillion sitting in a bank account somewhere, making interest. That's the value of all their assets and things. If you were to try to buy it tomorrow, you'd have to have $3 trillion to pay for it, I guess. But are there many other companies? I think Apple, and is Google even a $3 trillion company yet, or is Microsoft the second?
I don't know, actually. I'm not very much up on this kind of high finance stuff. Google is not mentioned at all in this article from The Verge, which we'll link to. Apple is mentioned, and it sounds as though Apple and Microsoft are the two at the top there that keep vying for position in terms of net worth. And they kind of keep overtaking each other and leapfrogging the lead. But no, there's no mention of Google at all, which is quite surprising, I think.
Yeah. So they are the second company after Apple to reach this milestone after their stock climbed 1.5% in the Nasdaq on Wednesday. It's possible it could have tumbled by then, by now,
Yeah.
and they could be worth merely $2 trillion again. But they got that milestone, which is a big thing. And I do think there's quite a bit of news circulating around Microsoft at the moment and some of their tactics regarding Edge that we might be coming to later on, and Copilot arriving as well. So arriving in Microsoft 365, and if it works the way it does, then admin staff can kiss their asses goodbye because the big companies won't be needing admin.
Well, apparently
anymore.
That's not true. According to a study this week, which I posted in the group, but we're not talking about on the show officially, apparently they petitioned a load of companies and they said, no, we value human input still above automation and AI, and we will still be finding jobs for people. We may have to retrain them, but we will still retain them.
No, they won't. You know why they're saying that? Because whenever something goes wrong, they have someone they can point their finger at. You can't point your finger at an algorithm and say it was AI's fault.
Yeah, that's true. You could point the finger at people that devise the AI, though.
Well, that's true. Yes.
Copilot is quite good. I have to admit, the Copilot is quite good. I have played with it, and it is quite impressive. But most of this money for Microsoft has come from business, hasn't it? They're so corporate centred, whereas Apple, you could argue, is very much the opposite. It's very consumer facing, and it's just two completely different approaches. I found this with the Surface Duo that I've been using this week, is that so much of it is like assuming you're a business person and not just an ordinary oik like us. Well, me.
Well, whenever you actually look at some of Microsoft's holdings, I think would be the best word to describe, or Microsoft's bits that they have, Some of them are quite temporary. Say, for example, their patents, where they earn an awful lot of money from the patents that are currently being used by other companies that Microsoft owns.
Right.
So, say, Microsoft had either come up with something or bought a company for their patents, and that technology is being used in a mobile phone that Apple produces. Apple will be actively working to see if there's a way around that, and then one day they will come up with their own way of doing something so that they don't have to pay any money to Microsoft.
Or you do it the Oppo way and just don't give Nokia any money.
True, but I don't think Apple would be able to get away with it for that long. Although they did try with, was it the heart sensors in the Apple Watch? But they're learning the hard way with that. So ultimately, Apple will want to own all of their own patents and have all of their own research being used in their devices. That way they don't have to pay anyone. But then the other side of that is the big debate that's going on with Microsoft's Xbox Live, and how people can't quite work out how Microsoft are going to sustain having Xbox Live running the way it's running whenever they're putting their own big titles onto Xbox Live for the people who are playing the subscription. Starfield is a perfect example, right? So Starfield, did it come out? It didn't come out in the PlayStation 5, so they cut off that whole element of sales. Starfield you can buy it on the PC, or you can get it through Xbox Live. And if you don't pay for Xbox Live, their monthly gaming subscription, then you have to purchase the game. So they're not seeing massive amounts of purchase. It drives up subscriptions for Xbox Live, if anything. But once that starts to fall off, they have nothing to fall back on. So they need to continually produce monthly content for Xbox Live to keep people interested. It's not a model that can continue to be healthy for Microsoft, given that there's no competition really. If you're driving all of the competition away from using those gaming names like Bethesda or whatever releasing on PlayStation 5, then you're going to be pushing more and more people into using the Xbox Live gaming thing, which I think is £7 or £8 a month. That's not going to generate as much capital as having people running out and buying a £50 game on any gaming service that you happen to have, the PlayStation, the Xbox, or the PC. So they've actually cut off a large amount of their revenue coming in by having their subscription service. And I think that over time, they can't work out how Microsoft is actually going to turn a profit by continuing to use Xbox Gaming Live, unless they plan on vanquishing all of the competition and having it as one sole place that they will then ramp up the subscription fee.
Yeah, but Xbox, in the general overview of what Microsoft do, and as a part of that $3 trillion market thingy, surely it's not a huge part, is it?
It's a fairly sizable piece, but obviously it's one piece. But some of the other ones, like the patent one, isn't going to continue to pay them forever. It'll eventually start to drop off, unless they go and start buying other companies like, say, Motorola, and rip out all of their patents, because that is essentially a business use for them. So they're going to have to continue. It mentions a lot of the things that they're over the last 10 years, their acquisitions of Minecraft, Mojang or whatever it is, LinkedIn, GitHub, and Xmarina, all helping Microsoft navigating the world. But each of those does have a limited shelf life until something else comes along. And the likes of, say, GitHub, it's already had negative reports about how Microsoft has actually tinkered with things and removed things from GitHub, and that's annoyed people who are using it.
Right.
So, I don't know. I think Microsoft, it hasn't developed solid money-making routine, plans for the future. It's kind of just banking on these at the moment, and they could quite easily have the rug pulled out from under them, and other companies succeed where they could crumble and fail.
And also AI. This article mentions that Microsoft has in recent years, invested more than $10 billion into OpenAI under a pseudonym. But the point is that they bought these companies, like you were just saying, and AI is all the thing, and Microsoft wants to be very much a part of that, don't they?
Well, yeah. They do want to be the pinnacle of business software, which is what AI and Microsoft 365 is all about. Copilot, Microsoft 365. Every business is going to use it, and every business is then going to use Microsoft Edge, which is going to harvest that data. And even if they use their slimy ways, they can still harvest data out of your Chrome browser as well, as it turns out. If you open up Edge, it'll just go and rip everything out of your Chrome browser and send it back to Microsoft. And you're helpless to do anything about it.
We were going to talk about that later, but we'll talk about it now if you like.
Oh, no, we'll come back to it later. I hadn't actually noticed it was on the list for later. I watched some things about that. Mm-hmm. All right, well, we'll move on to the next one, because Sony made more money than Samsung for the first time in 24 years. Where's Sony making their money from?
Well, I asked that question of Bard, Google's Bard, and the answer it came up with was about 1/3 of Sony's income comes from games and network segments, which includes the company's prominent line of gaming consoles. So 1/3 of Sony's money comes from that. They've also got TVs, cameras, semiconductors, as well as music and motion pictures, films, the film industry and Hollywood. But yeah, I was quite surprised. 1/3 of it comes from gaming and gaming consoles.
Wow, right. Well, I suppose around Christmas, they probably make the most money that they would make, because people are buying PlayStations and games and renewing subscriptions and stuff. I imagine that on Christmas Day, because the servers always go down on Christmas Day with Sony. It might be with Xbox as well, but I don't know. Where people get their new games console on Christmas Day, they sign up for it and they buy PlayStation Plus. I have to renew PlayStation Plus on Christmas Day because I did that, and it's a pain because I just can't get through to renew it. And my son's always like, I want to play online. It's like, you can't play online until I renew this. No, it's a problem. But I'm just noticing that, Samsung provided their earnings for Q4 of 2023, which highlighted a 34% decline in profit. But what does Samsung really have that they sell at Christmas? And yeah, they do sell some phones, and parents will buy phones for their kids, but not to the extent that Sony's going to be raking in money from every game that's purchased through their store, or even a disc copy, every PlayStation, every PSP, but they don't do that anymore. Everything there. Christmas is a time for Sony. Samsung might just make the same amount as they did before. And Samsung's operating profit was 7.49 trillion, or 5.62 billion, compared to Sony's operating profit, which was 7.95 billion. Given these estimates, Sony made over 2 billion more than Samsung in electronics in 2023.
All big numbers.
That's big money. Yeah.
Big numbers, big money. So I'm actually quite surprised, because the impression I had was that Samsung was a humongous company with fingers in pies in all sorts of. The one that I normally quote is making warships. They even make warships for other countries and what have you. But that's just one amongst a huge amount of stuff that Samsung is involved with, and so I'm actually quite surprised that apparently little Sony in Japan is not little Sony in Japan. It's just as big, or if not bigger. Well, at the moment, it looks like it might be bigger.
Yeah. But most households have either an Xbox or a PlayStation in their house, if they've got kids. Samsung are about to start printing their money because the S24 is going on sale now, and this is where they peak, and the massive amount of sales for the year will come in. But they're still not going to beat a PlayStation 5 at Christmas.
Okay, we'll see. Samsung appears to be quite serious about getting into gaming and mobile gaming. I know that won't involve consoles, but it will be interesting to see what they do with it.
But mobile gaming, yeah, I suppose it is a big thing, but it's still something that I don't think they're really going to be able to crack, because Microsoft and Sony have this locked up. There isn't Nintendo is obviously there, but they can't make it in the home gaming console market.
No, but
they have to go for handheld. They've got that nailed down, and compared to handheld gaming on phones and tablets, is big money, but for different reasons. It's not, they don't sell hardware in the gaming.
No. And I can't imagine Samsung suddenly deciding to start making consoles and challenging Microsoft and Sony and so on. But
No.
Who knows?
Who in the right mind would?
Mm-hmm.
So, more than half of UK undergraduates say that they use AI to help
this was
essays. And I think Wikipedia is currently suffering because AI is more prevalent at the moment. And teachers can't quite as easily go and check to see whether or not it is done by AI. Maybe that's why AI was developed.
This is, this article is having a poke at saying, on the face of it, isn't it dreadful that students are not stretching their brains, they're using AI to help them with their essays? But actually, the culture of it clearly is where they're working in an environment where teachers are also using AI to streamline their work. So AI is just in schools and in universities and in colleges. They're generating lesson plans and creating teaching materials and research and creating exams and model answers, apparently. So, if everyone's going to be in this kind of market of AI, then everyone has to kind of embrace it, don't they? And say, well, we accept that people are going to use this. Let's shift the focus and make learning different. And move with the times. So,
yeah, they'll just have to cut the cord, go back to blackboards and textbooks.
They could do that, but they won't, will they?
No, because blackboards and chalk is very dusty.
I tell you what, it could happen here is that the same thing will happen with mathematics exams. And when I was at school, when I was first at school, in secondary school, we were not allowed calculators. By the time I left school, we were allowed calculators, even in my maths O level that I took. And so between my time of secondary school, that completely swung from the ban. And the emphasis was not on you being able to work it out. The emphasis was about knowing what you had to put into the calculator to make it all happen.
Yes.
And so this AI thing, I think, could be doing the same sort of thing. So let's shift our emphasis here on and we have to accept AI is here, the calculator in the exam room, but let's make it so that it still works with people learning. See what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. I did start wondering there why maths is plural in the UK and singular in America.
Yes, try and focus on what I'm talking about, not the details of my language. But yes, you're right. No. Mathematics. It's the S at the end of the word mathematic, which the Americans do wrong because the S, they don't. The word is not mathematic; it's mathematics, and so they've just lobbed off the S, haven't they?
But then why do we lob off the thematic part and keep the S?
That's just an abbreviation, isn't it? But
the point. But usually we abbreviate things in a. Do we?
It's plural.
Where things are plural, do we abbreviate in plural? Should you abbreviate in plural?
I can't think of an example now.
Okay, tablet. Okay, you've got a bunch of tablets. You would say
tabs.
If you want to abbreviate tablets
Yeah.
down to tab.
There you go.
You wouldn't say there's 26 tab in there.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. I rest your case.
All right, so yeah, okay, silly Americans. Okay, next up, solid-state battery breakthrough could solve the biggest flaw in the potentially world-changing technology. Batteries are going to be working harder and faster and stronger than they ever have before, and there's a new technology on the horizon that's going to... Don't we do this every couple of weeks? There's always a new type of battery that's coming along the revolution, whether it's made with pig farts or something else. There's always a new... And they're going to stick it in cars and planes, and we're never going to have to worry about electricity again.
We did recently report on the small postage stamp size little battery that you can put in your phone and not have to charge it till doomsday. But I think this is something slightly different. It's a solid-state battery employing solid electrodes and a solid electrolyte, as opposed to using liquid or polymer gel electrolytes in conventional lithium-ion or lithium polymer batteries. That power most of our current. So this is something slightly different and slightly moving forward from what we reported on before. And I reckon we need a physicist to lead us through this. Steve will do.
Well, I'll give Steve a sprinting start, because this is lithium metal that wraps around a silicone particle, a bit like hard chocolate shell around a hazelnut core in a chocolate truffle.
Isn't that lovely? What a lovely analogy.
Yeah, it's from the article there. But on that note, I think it's very much worth pointing out at this juncture that if you go into a shop and look for After 8 mini eggs, they're very much worth your time. They're particularly amazing. After 8 mini eggs.
Oh, you got some
wow.
there? Are you eating them? You bastard.
No, I don't. It's an empty packet, because they only give you like 5 in a packet, and they really
I've not
went
heard
down
of those.
very easily.
After 8
find
mini
them.
eggs.
Yeah, you can buy them off Amazon as well, but they're quite expensive.
Right.
And they last forever. Apparently, After 8s never really go out of date because of the way they're made.
Well, your packet's empty.
But that's because I ate them. But if the apocalypse happens, you'll probably find pot noodles and After 8 mints.
And
that's what you'll live off.
And tins of soup.
No, they'll outlast tins of soup. Yes. So, After 8 mini eggs.
Very nice. That sounds great.
Worth it. All right, hard line for the hardware. Tech news, hardware style. And we're going to start with Ted, because he's dead excited about the new Zoom Essentials series. This is the new H1, H4 and H6 field recorders.
Right, okay. I'm not sure if I'm excited about it or not, because they've redesigned the classic features of the H1, H4, H6, and they've made them look like something out of Star Trek, frankly. And
They do. They're cool looking.
Well, I thought you might say that. So it'll appeal to some people, kind of techie nerds, no doubt. But the big news here is that they've included 32-bit recording. So you can create 32-bit files. Now, I put 3 links into the show notes here for people to follow, because I can't understand a bloody word of it. There's the first link is the article where someone's reviewing these 3 new recorders. The second link is this thing that I couldn't even get to the end of because it lost me on the first paragraph about how 32-bit is explained. And then I thought, right, I'll ask Bard. So I got Bard to create me a nice, neat summary. And apparently, according to Bard, 32-bit recording, specifically 32-bit float recording, offers several advantages over the lower bit depths like 24-bit. But it's important to understand both its benefits, blah, blah, blah. Overall, the 32-bit recording offers valuable benefits, especially if you anticipate heavy audio processing, need flexibility in post-production, or record extremely dynamic sources. However, this is not always particular. Incidentally, I'm recording on a Zoom recorder now on H5, and it's in 24-bit apparently, and it's perfectly good for podcasting. I think this stuff is aimed at serious musicians and people creating like master tapes, what they would be in the old days, master recordings that are going to be just so incredibly well defined. Aidan Bell would know all about this. He was speaking to me about 32-bit recording a while back and concluded that there's no way, even in his professional audio work, he would need 32-bit. So anyway, that's what it's about. I'll put links in the show notes. I'm sure we'll get letters saying, "You're so thick, you should have understood this." But essentially, the three recorders, the new versions, actually, which are not that different in price, to be fair. I thought they'd be more expensive, but they're not. They are just redesigned, and I don't think I like them. I was looking at the H6 one. I had an H6, and I think that this new one, I know you quite like the design, but it's just, it feels like it's a bit too futuristic to me, and I quite like the classic design. So there.
No, I'm all over the Zoom H1 Essential. I think that I have the H1 and I've used it quite a bit over the years, so I'd love to be able to get a proper upgrade to it. I know they did the H1N a wee while ago, but I think it still had micro USB on it. I've just been waiting for Zoom to actually produce something with USB-C.
Yeah, and also you can put bigger cards in it as well. I mean, to be fair, they have upgraded it. At the moment, my H5, I can't put an SD card in it bigger than 32 gigabytes. And these ones, you're going to be able to put 1 terabyte cards in it. So to be fair, they have upgraded the specs to some degree.
And at that's another one that who in the right mind is ever going to need more than 32 gigabytes for audio recording?
Yeah, sure.
Unless you're going away for a year.
Although 32-bit recording will make substantially bigger files.
Yes, yeah. And then you're going to need the USB Type-C for substantially bigger transfers.
Indeed.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how much the Zoom H1 Essential would be. I'd never go for the H4 or the H6. They're just complete overkill for a little moron like me.
If you scroll down right to the bottom of that page, it gives the expected pricing. Oh no, that's all the comments. At the bottom of the article.
I see the H6 is finally here with a nice...
there you go, €129 for the H1 Essential. So I don't think that's much different to the prices of the classic ones. But even the H6 Essential is $391, which is not hugely different to certainly the starting price of the H6.
Yeah, I'm on their website now and I can't even get into the H1 Essential buy now. And it takes me over there and it's €109.
Yeah, so there you go. So if you fancy the look and design of it, I think I'd rather have a... But yes, you're right. USB-C is a boon. A boon.
Yeah. But the one thing about the H1 I've always noticed is that it's not good at recording whenever you're holding it in your hand. If you move it ever so slightly in your hand, it picks up those hand movements. Sure. And I'm hoping this one has been... With the quirky design, it might be a way of getting around that noise of hand fizzling.
Indeed.
Maybe. Or maybe not. But I would like one of these. That'd be very nice. Yes. Thank you. Okay. The Samsung Galaxy X Cover 7 and Tab Active 5. Prices have been revealed. These are their tough and rugged ones. And I know, Ted, you like these tough and rugged ones. So will you be paying the £350 for the X Cover 7 or the £510 for the other one, the 5G version?
Right, these are two different devices. One of them is a phone, isn't it? And one is a tablet, I think. Because the Tab the Tab Active 5 is 8-inch screen tablet. And the X Cover 7 is the upgrade from the 6, obviously, and that's 6.6-inch screen. Clearly, the tablet has got more about it in some ways, But yeah, it's apples and pears, really, isn't it? It also on the phone, it's suggesting at GSM Arena that it hasn't got decks. Well, I thought that the X cover series did have decks on board, but perhaps they've changed that and they haven't got that. It depends how reliable this reporting is, really. But the point is that they're designed for building sites and workers that are going to be rough and ready with them. They've got military 810H compliance standards and IP 6.8 and the whole thing, and LCD displays, because that seems to be the thing with these rugged devices. I guess for someone that is running a building firm or something and has to supply devices to their staff, those phones are not badly priced, I think, for what they are, and they should be, really robust. And we found just recently that, you remember the Nokia XR20, and my dad ended up having that, and we found that over the last year he's been using it, it has had some scuffs and stuff on it, and one of the corners, the rubber had come away in one of the corners, but actually it's working absolutely fine, perfectly. He's not very careful with it. He drops it onto concrete often. And
Stop your dad going down to building sites.
Yeah,
he's not that rough and ready anymore.
He drops it when he's getting in and out of the car, and it drops on the garage floor. He kind of admits to it, but anyway, that's one of the reasons he had it. An XR20 is supposed to be rugged, but these things should be even more rugged than that, I reckon. And I'm not going to buy one, but I'm sure that very many businesses that want their devices to last in the hands of their uncaring staff will do.
And with kids going back to school, they make a good solution for that too, especially if they're about 11 and going into big school.
They won't want that. They want a bloody iPhone, won't they?
Well, they're not going to get one. They got another thing coming.
Bloody Apple.
They've got that. Well, Samsung, they're just apples and pears, aren't they? Yes. Well, moving on to something that isn't apples and pears is Mini Forum's UH85 Ultra. UH185 Ultra. Sorry. This is the first mini PC to adopt dual 5G interfaces. It's a very powerful looking mini computer that has an Intel Core Ultra 185H Meteor Lake processor that has 16 cores and 22 threads, delivering up to 5.1 gigahertz per second with a neutral processing unit for AI. So it's an AI focused mini PC that looks the biz. It's got a pretty cool screen on the side. Did I read that right? That's a touchscreen as well?
Yeah, it is a touchscreen. And you said neutral. It's not. It's neural. But anyway,
neural. Sorry.
Yes, it is a touchscreen. But this article in Tech Radar seems to be whinging about the fact that you can't run Windows on the outside screen.
Oh, flipping out. Yeah.
That seems to be the thrust of the whole article. I wouldn't expect to run Windows on the outside screen. I think it's great and it's nerdy and it's geeky. It's got a screen on it, a touch screen, which gives you all the core information about running your computer that you'd want. I'm really thrilled by this. It gives you all your... where's the list? Here it goes. It gives you time, date, temperature, system stats for the CPU, GPU, RAM and SSD. And then... unfortunately, it can't display Windows. I think that's really cool. I like that. I want one.
Yeah. I would want to see Doom running on that screen. Yeah, that needs to be done. It's got an Intel Arc inside, integrated GPU with 8 cores. There's RAM. There's 2 DDR5 56,000 megahertz SODIMM SIMs, supporting up to 96 gigabytes of RAM. That's what we need.
96 gigabytes, wow.
4 SSD slots, 2 MV2s.
I wonder if it...
or M.2, sorry.
I wonder if
and
it's...
an SD card
I wonder
slot.
if it's noisy.
It would be if it ran Windows on it.
Well, I think it is running Windows on it. It's just that it's not showing Windows on that display.
Yeah. There's no price.
No, it says that pricing's not been announced yet. I really like it. And it's got a little stand, so it sits up and looks at you.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be kind of sweet to have that sitting below your screen. And having a nice little interface that shows what everything's going on inside your computer is actually kind of hard to achieve, because you get other manufacturers that put your stuff in there, whereas this has everything of its own. So if you were to try and upgrade it by adding more into it, then you might find that things aren't compatible or whatever with this screen.
Right.
Because I would love to have one of those sort of screens sitting running on my computer. I know you can get those in AIOs, and they'll do it, but the odd time they don't work with the graphics card manufacturer that you might have if you move away from one particular company.
That's no bloody good then, is it? They can stick it.
No, it's a bit pain in the ass.
I've changed my mind.
Oh no, I'm saying that's a benefit of this, because it all works.
Oh, I see. And
the only thing you're going to be upgrading... Inside. Well, the only thing you can change is the RAM.
Okay.
And as long as you sort of go by the guidelines, I'm sure they'll be fine with you putting in something.
I'll tell you what would be a better idea. If they're going to sell this on a stand like that, as shown in this picture, all the connections and everything and all the ports should be on the back, not on the sides, because it's going to look a bit of a monstrosity with 102 cables sticking out of it. But if they were all round the back, then you wouldn't see them. Know what I mean?
Not me, mate. Yeah, I do, but we only have one view of it here.
Yeah.
I'm looking around the other side of it. Oh, there it is there. The left-hand side, oh my word, it's the more interesting side by far. There's a 19-volt power supply. There's 2 USB-A's, an HDMI, a display port, 2 Ethernets, a USB Type-C, and then I think that's another display port, is it? It's got a tapered edge. It says something above it, OC Link or something like that. I don't recognise what that is. But yeah, there's ports either side of it. They haven't put all the ports around the back, because on the back is a big fan.
Yeah, I do accept that it's impractical, but it would just be nice. I was being idealistic.
Yeah. And then on the top is great for it to be able to pull in the air. No, I think it'll having it that way round, you probably have it sitting to the right of your computer with all the cables going out of the left-hand side of it down the back, and then the right-hand side, you would be able to access those to be able to plug in a USB Type-C or USB-A docks and a microphone. So that would be the sensible side to be facing out.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't be able to set this computer to the left of you, because that would not make sense.
No.
Or having it flat in front of you, because you have a whole rake of cables.
Exactly, you have cables out both sides, wouldn't you?
Yeah. But I think generally computers are made to sit to your right.
Are they?
It was only after I bought my new case that I realised, I have to have it to my right. I'd actually rather it was on my left. And I never thought about that whenever I was buying it. And I went back and had a look, and I wasn't able to find any sort of mirror image cases that were the same as this.
Mm.
And even the graphics card, if I put it into a mirror image, it would be the other way round, wouldn't it? No, because the motherboard wouldn't. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Computers have to be to the right because of the way they're made.
Fair enough.
Or everything inside would be upside down if you put it to the left. Yeah.
Okay, then. I'll take your word for it.
I've never thought of that before. Yeah, it's in all my years of building computers. Yeah, okay. Mm. Or am I being completely idiotic about it? Let me know, folks. Am I an idiot or am I right?
Answers on a postcard.
Yes. Right, okay, Yamaha. They have a new audio mixer that's designed for gamers, but it's got a new, special, simpler interface and a really cheap price. It looks pretty darn cool. It's got a couple of knobs, it's got a slider, and a couple of buttons. What does it do, though, Ted?
I don't know. I thought you'd know. Apparently, the interesting bit that caught my eye, though, was that in the last paragraph there, it says that it touts compatibility with the Stream Deck, the Elgato Stream Deck lineup. So all of those things that you can assign, if you're a gamer, to buttons in your Stream Deck, like for OBS and Streamlabs and Discord and whatever else you're using, all of that kind of loads of gaming palaver inside Stream Decks will work with this device. But I'm assuming that this device is something that gamers would buy and they would stick in their system so that they could control their voice. It's got all sorts of software stuff going on, apparently, whereby you can change your voice compression, reverb, pitch, and radio voice filter and blah blah blah. This is real hardcore gaming stuff, isn't it? What somebody would want to get inside an online game, presumably, and then change their voice in order to create some persona or some character in a game. And this little device would be the one to do it. I'm really talking crap because I don't know anything about these things, really. I thought you would.
Well, no, I do know a little bit about them, and whenever you come into things like the Elgato and various different functional boxes for adapting the sound whilst you're playing a game and interacting with the people that are watching you on Twitch, you need to have things as simple as possible, and this looks remarkably simple.
Right.
It's just got a couple of knobs and a couple of buttons that are clearly laid out to be what they are. The beauty of the Elgato is that you get a picture on the button, so you can have that set up in such a way that you want to be able to interact with it and perform functions. But at the same time, it can actually be a wee bit flaky and problematic, where things maybe just don't work as well as you had imagined, or if you hit the button or you hold down the button, you get different outcomes, and computers can be running a bit slower when they're running a game, and it thinks that you've held down the button whenever you've hit the button, and things don't work that way. This is really an old-fashioned box with knobs and buttons, and you just hit it, and it's less demanding, and less thought needs to be put into what you're actually doing.
Right.
And I think that's what they're aiming for here, as the article Engadget points out, is that it's got a simpler interface, and it's much cheaper too, because it doesn't have all those little screens under the buttons, and you don't have to spend hours setting things up the way you want them. I quite like it. And when we start the podcast, we have to try and get our levels kind of right, and Microsoft likes to do things. This can just allow you to turn it a wee bit whenever you feel that, I'm peaking a wee bit whenever I've said that. Right. And there it peaked, and I could tinker.
All good fun, isn't it? And not that expensive at $200. The other thing that the reason this caught my eye was that a couple of times, 2 or 3 times over the last 3 months, I think, Yamaha's name has come back up on our podcast. Yeah. And I don't know whether that is because they've suddenly decided that they're going to start making things again and putting their name out there, or whether it always was, but we've only just started, or I've only just started noticing that they still do stuff. But Yamaha was a name from, like back in the 70s for me, and it was always great stuff. And in recent times, it just felt like they weren't in the game, but perhaps they are.
Yeah, I think they probably were out in Asia, where they derived from, I think, and they're able to push stuff back in, and they don't have to push everything back in, but they kind of know what the market wants and how the market's leaning. So if they've got something, why not have a go?
Yeah. Japanese, isn't it, I think?
It is.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, good company. I like them. Right, we're going to go into the wearables watch, where we talk about wearable-y bits and pieces. And we'll start with the Samsung Galaxy Fit 3. This is a new watch coming from Samsung that is fitness-focused. It looks somewhat similar to a particular wearable that Apple puts out. and it should be with us fairly soon. There's a rating of IP68 plus 5 ATM as their water resistance. It should weigh around 21 grams, and it'll be coming in 3 colours: grey, silver, and pink gold. Not just pink, not just gold, but pink gold. Not rose gold, but pink gold. It's going to. Previously, the Watch 2 had the 1.1 inch screen, but now they've gone up to a 1.61 fitness tracker screen, which is kind of big, and they should last for about 13 days on a single charge.
13 days?
13, that's what I said. And it works with your Samsung Health app and might be a bit more palatable than the Galaxy Watch series, which are expensive and generally only last for a day.
Yeah, or 2. I think 2, in my experience. Yeah. But the question of this Gizmodo article poses is this a smartwatch? And what's the line that you draw between what's a smartwatch and what isn't? Well, certainly the battery life would suggest that it's not, but I think that maybe what's missing is all the Bluetooth and connectivity for notifications and all that sort of thing that you get in a smartwatch. And it's very health centric, but it's obviously got a clock in it, and I don't know if it's got a calendar or anything, or I don't know. I've never had a fitness only thingy. I don't think. It does look very attractive, nicely made, as you'd expect from Samsung. I don't quite know why you would choose it over a smartwatch, except for that battery, I suppose.
I don't think there's any argument here. It's not a smartwatch because it doesn't do smart functionalities. It's focused on fitness. It's a Fitbit. It's a fitness tracker. It might have a bigger screen and it might have Bluetooth, but it needs that to be able to communicate with the watch. It solely does fitness stuff. It might show a couple of bits like watch or messages or WhatsApp things that you've got a notification, but you can't be sitting there controlling your camera or playing a game on it or things like that you would expect to be able to do with a smartwatch.
Right, okay. Yeah, it's an interesting question, though, the difference between the two. What is missing from the smartwatch? Because I don't think that you would be able to get your notifications from WhatsApp or whatever. I think that if it's a fitness item and not a smartwatch, those are the very things that, always listening out for notifications, for example, from social media apps. Surely that's the thing that'll be missing, won't it?
I think you can turn them off and on, but it maybe just show an envelope or something up in the corner. You won't be able to reply to them, or it's just like, oh, there was a message there. You might have been waiting on something. Check your phone, because I'm not a smartwatch. I'm a fitness tracker.
Okay.
Not that it can talk, and it certainly wouldn't sound like that if it could talk. That would be ridiculous.
No. So yes.
Speaking of smartwatches, Fossil is exiting
the
smartwatch business, which is really sad because I love Fossil. Not that I ever bought one. I do have regular analogs. No, is it? Analog smart Fossil watches, but I've never bought one of their smartwatches because I've never seen one for sale here that easily. We have Samsung and we have TicWatch, but no Fossil.
Well, the good news is that they're not going out of business, and they will continue to work to make jewellery and what else? Jewellery and ordinary watches and
toasty makers.
I don't know what else they do. The smartwatch business continue to wear. Oh, here we go. Oh, it's going to. They reckon that they're going to continue to support existing smartwatches for the next few years, inverted commas. So we'll see what that's about. But the Fossil, prior to smartwatches coming out, they used to, as you say, they used to make ordinary stuff anyway, didn't they? Which you have seen. I've never seen one, I don't think.
No, but it'd be great if they had a fire sale, because the Fossil watch that they've used in the article here on GSM Arena, which I'll stick in the poster for the podcast, looks fantastic. I want that on my watch. Okay. On my wrist. Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah, we'll go and grab one quick then.
Yeah, fire sale, please.
Yeah.
Okay, the phone zone. We have some phony type stuff to chinwag about. And Microsoft Edge for Android is going to be getting support for extensions. I suppose this is more appy related, but we'll keep it here because it's for Android. Ted, I don't want to talk about this, but you can if you like.
Well, just briefly to say that they've beaten Google to it. So Microsoft Edge have decided that they've worked on this with their Chrome kind of baseline anyway for the Edge software, and they've got extensions out there, which is great because I know that Google have blocked things like ad blockers. uBlock Origin. Now it doesn't work very well on a watch. On a phone. And if Edge is going to provide those things, then people might be going there first. I can't imagine Google will be doing anything to kill off advertising. But that's just one example. I use an extension for my Pocket stuff to save articles and to get tiny URL links and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I'm not going to be changing to Microsoft Edge on my phone. But if someone was less vehement than me about sticking with Google, they might well do. Oh yeah, great! They've got extensions in there, and bloody Chrome hasn't. I'm switching to Edge. So anyway, there you go. I'm sure that Google will get there eventually and copy them.
Quite possibly, yes. Hasn't Firefox already got there?
I don't know.
I think it has.
Okay.
I vaguely remember
on a phone?
that. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The mobile version of Firefox, I think you can put in uBlock and stuff like that. And those sorts of things. It's one of the safer browsers to use.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on, it's official. Bye-bye Nokia Mobile. Whoa, hang on a second. What?
Nokia's, HMD have decided that after their 10 years contract with the Nokia brand, they're now ditching the Nokia brand, and Nokia Mobile can go on their own way and do their own thing. And HMD are going to be producing their own line of phones, which actually initially looked like they're probably going to be quite budget-centric phones, a bit like Nokia have been doing anyway, really. But yeah, the turning point here is that they had a 10-year deal, and that's coming to the end. I think it was in 2026. So I don't think you'll see any of these straight away, but soon they'll be rolling out their devices. So yeah, HMD are going their own way.
Yeah, I can't say I like that website that this is on. It's just served up some scammy stuff.
Oh, blimey.
Yeah. Okay, well, hello HMD. They were already doing that, weren't they? They had last year launched a range of phones under HMD's.
Talked about it. They hadn't actually put them out there, I don't think. No. Yeah,
I don't think they had.
Really?
Because we were, we were asking why.
Phone. You can't.
Yeah,
Get out of it.
HMD phone.
They're not allowed to yet because of that 10-year deal. I think they've just been talking about it. It's coming soon, sort of thing,
But we talked about this before.
As a coming soon, yeah. Try and keep up at the back.
Because we were asking why they would bother doing one and the other. Who in their right mind is going to walk into a shop and see identical phones, one with HMD on it and one with Nokia on it, and pick up the HMD and go, ooh, I want this one?
I think that was a projection of what's going to happen in the future. And the news now is that that's not going to happen. They're going to make their own unique devices. They're not just going to be Nokia clone devices. So,
they must have listened to us.
Yeah.
Right, gotcha. That's okay. That makes me feel better. So, Sony Xperia 1.6 has leaked. And it suggests that it could have a big new camera and a certain zoom boost. What does the current zoom have?
I'm going to get a bit lost on this, to be honest. And we need Steve here to talk about this more. But apparently they're going to put the 48 megapixel sensor that at the moment is just one of the three sensors on the back of the One Mark V. they're going to put 3 of those. So each of the cameras, the sensor is going to be bigger and better, and they're going to work together in order to make a better hybrid 6 times zoom. There's going to be an optical 3 times zoom, but there's going to be a hybrid 6 times zoom, which they reckon that taking into account all the data from the updated sensors will make it even better, sharper, greater, the usual thing. Pictures, photographs from the phone. Still no aperture control, which, okay, yeah, we're not going to get that ever probably in a phone. But, that's as much as I know really about this story. I'm not really a camera in phones, digital photography kind of person. Perhaps you know more.
Well, no, I understand everything you said there. It made it very simple for me to understand.
Oh, good.
Well done. Even Steve, I think, would pat you on the bottom and say, good man.
I don't think we'll have any of that kind of talk.
No, that's fantastic. 6 times zoom then. Right, okay, combined between the lenses. That's good. Yeah. Nice. We should hopefully see Sony's profits rise a bit more, because I'm sure they'll sell 2 or 3 extra ones on the basis of this.
Especially if they're about 1,800 quid.
Okay, Bullet. Bullet bites the bullet. The company behind Cat phones, the indestructible phones that people use on building sites, and the rugged Moto phones, has been shot down. Dear me.
And Land Rover as well. I've forgotten about those. If you go to Clove UK's website, you see all of these rugged phones that are made by the Bullet Group, and I'd forgotten all about them. But yeah, it's a shame, I think, because some of those phones were, I don't know, they tended to lag behind in terms of updates. Cat were not very good at updating their phones, and Motorola, we know that have always been terrible at updating their phones. They had the Defy, and then the Defy 2, the Cat S75. We didn't have one in, but we spoke about it on PSC. And yeah, it's a shame, I think. If Bullet were making all those for these companies, that they've gone. We won't see anymore. You mentioned Ulefone earlier, didn't you?
Yeah.
I reckon that the Unihertz and Ulefone are going to be the places that people are going to go to. Nokia, depending on what happens to them. Samsung, we spoke about earlier about the rugged phones. So there are still options out there, but the Bullet Group seems to be the one that did most of that kind of mid-range, reasonably priced, a bit behind the spec ones.
Well, they mustn't have done most of it if they're going out of business. No. So farewell, Bullet. You're not bulletproof. I don't quite know what that means, but I just thought I'd throw it in there anyway. Moving into, for the name of the game, we're going to start with the MSI Claw, which is getting a price. This MSI Claw, if you cast your memory back to the podcast that you didn't listen to 2 weeks ago that we did, this is essentially a Steam Deck competitor that looks a bit more like the Lenovo variant and the other one that I can't remember the name of now. But yeah,
Ally.
it's got a bit of the Ally. Well done, Ted. You're on form today. It's got a price indication now, and that is that it's going to start at around about £635, but there could be a £595 version, depending on the variant that you choose.
How does that compare?
Wait, no. Yeah, it's a wee bit more than what you get for a Steam Deck. I think the lowest Steam Deck is about $499 at the moment. But yeah, we kind of speculated it would still be a bit higher in price, because they kind of have to be. Steam Decks are different. They don't run Windows, whereas this will run Windows. Steam Deck runs Linux and Steam OS, and you can put Windows on if you want. But that would be a licensed thing, and they have to include the price of the license, and it's going to have certain hardware and that kind of stuff. So, Ted, are you thinking about picking up one of these?
Oh. We reported on the show last 2 weeks ago that the Ally was reduced to 599, didn't we? Now, during this week, it dropped to 549, I noticed, but now it's gone back up again. So that would appear to be kind of the competition here, wouldn't it? Not that I know anything about these handheld gaming machines, apart from my Evercade. But 595 seems, 595 quid for a 512 gigabyte version of this. I don't know. I think that kind of feels okay to me. You disagree?
Well, I did read online. Some people were commenting on the fact that it is Intel Arc inside of it, which isn't the most compatible with the rest of the group. The others are all kind of AMD based. This one is focused more on Intel, and having the Intel graphics silicone might see a few games on Steam not working at all, or not working as well. But Intel are doing their very best to get the drivers and things like that out for smooth playback for the larger portion of the games. I suppose you could always say that AMD is not as compatible as NVIDIA or vice versa. So you've got quirks whenever it comes to differing hardware. But it'll be interesting to see once this arrives whether or not it has legs, especially given that most people who want one of these will be buying the Steam Deck. A few people will want a bit of an alternative, maybe a bit more of a power horse, and will probably have already opted for either the ROG or the Legion Go. So this could find it a bit of a struggle to take off. But if MSI, who is a good company, are committed to it, then it might manage to tip the odds in its favour.
Where does MSI come? Are they Chinese company? MSI?
I don't know.
MSI. Where?
They.
Oh, here we go. China. Yeah, Taiwan. Oh no, Taiwan. MSI is in the Zhongyi district, New Taipei City, Taiwan.
Okay. I've been to Taipei.
Oh, right.
I didn't notice their headquarters, though. They didn't invite me in for a cup of tea.
It's a whacking great
or a cup of snake's blood.
It's a whacking great big building. They must be
It is.
quite set in there. Anyway, yes, do carry on.
Well, no, there's not much more to say. MSI, they had that, what was it, military grade branding that they used to plaster over everything.
Yeah.
Because I think the US or maybe the Chinese military were using MSI exclusively, or they had some sort of deal.
Right.
Yeah. It worked, yeah. All right, moving on to Rock Paper Shotgun have posted an article about everything announced at PlayStation's January State of Play. And there's lots of rather nice, attractive games here, including Stellar Blade, Sonic X, Shadow Generations. I'm sure someone's going to be excited about that. Silent Hill, a new Silent Hill, which is the short message. It's a free... And it's available now. I'll be playing that later on today. Silent Hill 2 is coming, which is going to be a redo of a classic game. Metro Awakening VR, which should be potentially quite interesting because it's one of the best looking games out there. Metro Awakening will be targeted towards PSV2. And post-apocalyptic shenanigans going on there. That'll be quite scary for some. Rise of Ronin and Death Stranding 2. Death Stranding being one of the big games that people speculated wouldn't be... It was a very high-profile game. It starred Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead. And it was like a walking simulator where you got to do stuff. Walk around carrying loads. And it just seemed like a really strange game. I've never played it myself, but obviously it did well enough that they've done a sequel, and a big budget sequel at that. Is there anything that caught your eye, Ted?
No, all this is gobbledygook to me. I've never seen any of these games. Presumably, these are all Sony games, are they? They've all been created in-house by Sony, and they won't be available...
I don't think so, no. I think it's just the big games that are coming to their games console
Oh,
because Microsoft actually and Xbox have the lion's share of developers, where they own Bethesda and there's Activision and things like that. So it's kind of interesting to see what Sony has on the horizon, because they're going to be missing a few of the big games. A bit like it used to be back in the day when you had Nintendo and Sega, and they would be putting out different properties.
So what they're saying is not that they've made these games, but they've done deals with the makers and they'll be available.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. And Sonic is a prime example of that. It's going to be made by Sega, I think. Sonic X Shadow, which is a game I probably think that you would like.
The graphic,
wouldn't you?
The graphics on the that one down the bottom that you just mentioned, Death Stranding 2, the graphics on that, from if that picture's anything to go by, look really good. The human faces look as though they're really well done.
Yeah.
And not just kind of looking like they're a graphically created thing that don't look at all human. That looks really impressive. I'll have a look at the YouTube video of that one.
Yeah, I do. I think the original game was quite different from what people were expecting, and it was, it took a while for it to gain some momentum. People got into it, and ultimately, I think they're still playing it. I don't think it's a completable game either. I did see quite a lot of it on YouTube whenever it first came about.
Yeah. Very nice.
So next up is the Ayaneo Flip, which has become the first gaming handhelds to launch with the AMD Ryzen 7, the 8840U APU, and a vapor chamber, so you can look cool in front of your friends with a cooling system. This is a wee flippy, uppy type take-it-with-you gaming device that I think Ted will be all over.
I really like the design, yeah. I could see myself using that in a kind of Nintendo 3DS type way. I think that, for me, is the kind of way a handheld gaming console should be. Much as I like using the Evercade and the Nintendo Switch Lite, I think that having that screen folding out and facing the angle you want, and also a secondary display, that's very 3DS-ish to me, and I do like. I think over the years that's been by far even, dare I say, better than the Game Boy. It just seems to be right for a gaming setup to me, which is why some of those devices we've spoken about over the last few months have actually been, the screens where you can put them in the position you want, like this one. Yeah, I fancy this. Is it expensive?
Oh, yeah, it is. Well, it goes from quite cheap or quite expensive to ridiculously expensive. If you want to, would you prefer the new Ryzen 7 or would you prefer the older one?
Older would do me.
The older would do? Well, then the prices will start around $739, dollary-doos, and that's for the 16 gigabyte with 512 gigabytes of storage. But if you want to do that up to 64 gigabytes of RAM and 2 terabytes of storage, then you might just be paying around about. There's an early bird price of $1,239, but whenever it comes to official retail price, it'll be $1,439.
Wow.
Whereas if you want to go for the new architecture, it's only $40 more.
That's a lot of money, isn't it, for a handheld gaming thingy?
That's what they should have marketed as, a handheld gaming thing.
And it's an Ayaneo, which it's not even kind of like it's a Nintendo or even a Motorola or it feels like it's not particularly mainstream, and you're going to pay £1,400 for something that is not particularly mainstream.
Well, they tend to put all their stuff out through Indiegogo that way. But I think there's a bit of a marketing issue here that I don't like. And there's a black one, which is called Shadow Black. That sounds cool. The white's called Milky White.
Girly Snow.
No, Milky White.
Milky White.
That's horrible. Yeah. Milky. It reminds me of the Mary Whitehouse experience with Milky. If you remember.
I don't.
You might not. Okay. Well, Milky just sounds slimy and icky.
Off-white.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of money, though, I think. If I was going to pay £1,400, those gaming consoles that we were just talking about a minute ago, MSI or just something more mainstream, I'm much more likely to pay that kind of money for that, I think. Wow.
Yeah.
Wowie.
Well, at the same time, this is kind of the same thing, but with a different setup that you prefer.
Yeah, I do like the design of it, no question at all. But I'm not paying that kind of money,
and it's a good bit bigger as well.
Right. Okay. I'll wait for a Steam Deck to come out with a slanted screen, a Steam Deck Flip.
Yeah, you might be waiting a while for that, but okay. Yeah. All right, Flap Your Trap Loading app doesn't exist this week. It fell into the void and will not be coming out, so we'll be moving straight to Ted's report on the Google Gallows and the Chrome corridor.
Right, the first one is that Google has launched ImageFX, a standalone AI image generator, which they put out to try and challenge the likes of Bing Image Creator and so forth. But it's not available in most countries, only a handful of countries at the moment. If you're in New Zealand...
So they haven't really put it out then?
No, well, if you're in New Zealand, and I can't remember the other countries now, but a few countries it works in, and you can have a go with that. But it'll come soon, and if it's as good as Bing Image Creator, I should be very impressed, but I doubt if it will be somehow, because I'm quite impressed with that. This is the story about Microsoft Edge stealing the data from Google Chrome. After an update, users noticed that instead of every time you launch Edge, it now automatically goes and scoops up your tabs from Chrome, the last instance of Chrome, and then puts all that data into Edge. So, basically it's stealing the data from Chrome, and without permission, and no doubt Google will shut that down at some point soon, but at the moment that seems to be happening. And the last story was, for me anyway, you've got one to come, is that Google Chrome prepares a better way to add websites to your home screen. This story is largely about that they're amalgamating the progressive web app. At the moment, if you go to a mobile version of Chrome, you can tap a item called Add to Home Screen. Well, if the Chrome website you are on is a progressive web app, then it can't work that out automatically. But this change will make that an automatic thing, and then you'll get a new button now called just Install, and then it will work it out. If it's a PWA or if it's just an ordinary website, it will then give you a thing on your home screen to do that. So that's a nice little change that is coming to Chrome.
It's one thing I've never really thought about is having the progressive web apps on your phone.
Yeah. You haven't lived.
Yeah. Have them on the Chromebook.
Hello?
And to be honest, I don't really use them very often.
Hello?
I prefer to just use the the
blimey.
website itself. But
oh dear,
yeah,
what's
on your phone
happening
as
now?
well.
Hello? Are you back? 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Well, you're back.
Are you? Hello?
I disappeared.
Oh.
1, 2, 3. Hello?
You back in the
Can
closet
you hear
there?
me?
Hello?
Can you hear me? 1, 2, 3.
I can hear you.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Fun of technology. That was definitely Skype. Skype is so crap sometimes. It just dipped out, and I heard the Skype kind of noises that was screwed up. Anyway, my recordings are still going, so you poor listeners will have to put up with more than you thought from us.
Well, yeah. Well, they probably won't notice at all. They'll just hear us do that and go, but I can hear everything. I can hear both sides of what's going on because of the incredibly complicated way in which we record this as to not miss a moment.
Nobody will be listening by now anyway. We can say what we like about them.
Absolutely.
They're all gits out there.
Oh, be careful. Now, Ted, come on. They're caring, compassionate people. I'm sure there's still one person. No, there's not.
They've all gone. Oh, there's that bloke in Uganda. He's still listening.
True. Hello. How's things? You guys are having a rough time out in Uganda, come to think of it, aren't you? Yeah. Right. I had a little thing that I wanted to throw in here because yesterday I went on a bit of a quest. I was sitting using my Chromebook in the morning, and things were slowing down. With some of the things that I was doing, I was like, oh, I could really do with a bit more oomph in my Chromebook. It's an i5 Asus with 8 gigabytes of RAM, so I thought, I wonder how much a Chromebook Plus might be with 16 gigabytes of RAM. Could I find one in the UK? No. There's none. Been through Currys, Amazon, Laptops Direct, all these different websites trying to find a 16 gigabyte Chromebook. Nah, not there. We only have the 8 gigabyte ones. Why? Why is that? Ted, why?
No idea. I didn't know that. I thought that the HP, what's it called, had 16 gigs of RAM. But having a quick look on Amazon now...
Oh no, plenty of them say that they've got 16 gigs of RAM, but whenever you go to somewhere to buy one...
Here's one.
You know, an online retailer. Where?
On Amazon. The Chromebook Flip C43 436FA, 2-in-1, i5, 4 cores, 16 gigabytes of RAM, 512 storage, 595 quid. Talk about being research. Oh, there's another one here. Look, the HP. That's the one I was talking about. The HP Chromebook, the 11G8 Education Edition. That's got 16 gigabytes of RAM as well.
Right. Whenever I put Chromebook into Amazon and then go down the side to make some selections, the first thing I'll select is RAM amounts. RAM amounts is 4 gigabytes or 8 gigabytes. There's nothing above that.
You don't want to do that. Look, I'll send you live on the show.
Hey, look, Harry Enfield, I'll do whatever I damn well want.
Live on the show, I'll send you a link to the one I'm looking at, and then you can look at it and tell me if I've got it wrong. But that's, to me, looks like... It's in the recording notes. I've just put the link in there. Go back to the recording notes. Gareth, that's it. Well done. 16 gigabytes, 512... Actually, that looks like a really nice Chromebook. It might not be a Chromebook Plus, though.
Visit Amazon's renewed store.
Oh, is it renewed? Oh,
yeah.
It's renewed. Okay, so you don't want a renewed one, you want a new one. Right.
Yeah. A new one would be nice.
Okay.
Also, it doesn't ship to Northern Ireland.
Oh, that's not my
I don't know why. We've got a shiny new government.
Anyway, yeah, go on with your story anyway, because clearly it is a bit of an issue for the UK bods.
Yeah. I can't find a 16 gigabyte from a reputable retailer.
Oh, here's one.
I think the... There we go.
That's not renewed. Oh, yes, it is. Perhaps they've stopped doing them. Maybe all the renewed ones, all the 16 gigabytes are renewed ones, and new ones are not.
Yeah, why is that?
I don't rightly know. Blimey.
Well, yeah, maybe someone listening can go, oh, that's because... but I think it might be... I think it's America. America has decided, right, okay, we're going to stifle innovation. All 16 gigabyte laptops are going to go to America so that we can be more productive. We can get on top of this curve where things are going south, and we can have faster computers than the rest of the world. So the UK, give them 4 and 8 gigabytes. They'll be slower, and if they suddenly need to use the internet to do something, it'll be slower for them because the Americans will get there first.
Quite so.
That's the way for them to grow their economy.
Quite so.
Yes. Or possibly it's just the retailers like to gouge. Because there was one particular Chromebook that I was looking at. I think it was the Acer 516, maybe, GE. And I was reading through it, and it's compatible with Steam, so I could do a little bit of gaming if I wanted to. And they were recommending the i7 16 gigabyte, and I thought, well, I'll go and see what price it is here in the UK. And that's what got me on the trail of trying to find one with 16 gigabytes, because I could only find the 8 gigabyte version of it with an i5 inside of it. And that was £799, reduced to £599. But the i7... with 16 gigabytes of RAM, if I flew over to America, I would be able to buy for $599. It's like, right, okay, so it's dollar for pound, but we're getting the crap version, whereas the Americans are getting the better version. Why? Why?
What you want is a Dragonfly.
Oh, I'd love a Dragon 32. Yeah, that'd be
The
nice.
Dragonfly G4, is it? Yeah, here it is. No, that's the Windows version. There's a Chromebook version. HP's Dragonfly is supposed to be the best Chromebook in the world, the most specified Chromebook in the world. Robbie told me on Chrome Unboxed, and they did a review of it. And it's called the HP Dragonfly, and it's all singing, all dancing. Now, whether you can get it in the UK or not with 16 gigs of RAM, I don't know, but you know. Here we go. Operating system. Oh no, that's Windows. Because the Dragonfly is also made in a Windows version as well.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, in your quest, you might want to look up Dragonfly as part of your. But it's not cheap. You're talking about. I think you're talking about something like two grand.
2,000. Yeah. I see it for sale here. Yeah. 16 gigabytes of RAM. Well done, Ted. You found one from HP's website.
Yeah.
£1,600 is the cheapest one, which is the i7, 16 gigabytes with 512 gigabyte SSD, business only.
Yeah, well, you can get around that, can't you?
Oh, there's one with 32 gigabytes. Oh, that's the £2,111.
Yeah, the Dragonfly. If money's no object, and you want specs. But whether that ships to the UK is another question, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I've just put it in there. Oh, I could pay it off as well. Delivery's free. It's £270
bloody
worth
well
of VAT
think so.
on it.
$2.5 grand for a Chromebook.
Yeah, and you get your 16 gigabytes of RAM. That's a lot of money to pay for 16 gigabytes of RAM. Is that the only option that I have then? Well, I'll continue to search across the rest of the week. I only had a look yesterday before everything went pear-shaped with a bit of tech in the house. So I didn't get to look at it much more, but it was enough to make me go, hang on a second, this is not right. From all the main areas that you would go to have a look to find a laptop, I couldn't find a Chromebook with 16 gigabytes.
The bastards.
Totally. Right, hark back. We're doing it. Okay, Steve, we're doing it. The hark back this week is something that I noticed on TV that it's not quite techie, but it was certainly something that I grew up with, and I saw it evolve over the years, because it did in fact evolve, and it got quite complicated toward, I'd say, the end of its life. It's still alive today, but yeah, the rotary ashtray. Most kids will not know what I'm talking about here, and they'll never have the opportunity to play with one of these, but I remember playing with them quite a lot when I was younger. My parents didn't smoke, but I think they would be in bars or restaurants or wherever we ended up going, waiting areas, ferry terminals, beside fruit machines.
Yeah.
When you go over to Scotland, you'd sit in the porta cabin waiting for the ship to come in. And there would be a bunch of these sitting there, and you'd be able to push the top of them, and the wee bit inside would spin really, really fast. The rotary ashtray, I think it was designed so that whenever you push it down, the fag ash would stay inside, and it wouldn't stink. And you could put out your cigarette and put it inside, and the smoke would kind of die off inside. And it just made me think that, you know, from the basic ashtray, like those ones you used to get in McDonald's, the little pieces of folded tinfoil, has progressed into this.
I've forgotten about those McDonald's ones. Yeah.
I still have one, actually, and I found one over there. And these they would dress them up. They would make them look pretty, and they would have different mechanisms that you could use. You could have ones that could hold a cigarette, so that you weren't holding it in your fingers the whole time. I just thought, wow, people did put an awful lot of design effort into an ashtray.
Yeah. And that second link you put in the recording notes there, I remember those ones on a stand, particularly for some reason, in the foyer of cinemas. I can remember going to the cinema, and while you're kind of queuing up to go into the actual auditorium, where you've got an ashtray in the back of the seat in front of you, you'd have these things in the foyer and on the red carpet. Amazing, isn't it? How quickly the world has changed away from smoking.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember these things as well. They were great, and they were great fun to play with. You're right, and they just seemed to work. You put your fag on it, even if the fag was still lit, you didn't even need to put it out. You just press the button on the top, and zoom, it spins round, and then it goes inside. No sign of the fag. That's the end of it.
Yeah, yeah, and it wouldn't catch on fire. It would be really easy to empty as well.
Yeah.
It was designed in such a way that whenever the cleaners were coming around, they'd just be able to go whoop whoop, and it would be emptied. They were quite secure. They wouldn't fall over and break open very easily. They were great.
Yeah, yeah. I used to love smoking. But when you speak to a non-smoker and say that, they think you must be bloody mad. But there's something about smoking. I just really, really enjoy smoking, and it's a real shame that it's not super healthy to do.
Yeah, yeah. Even vaping, its replacement isn't healthy to do.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, yeah, nice one. I remember those very well.
Yeah, they're not quite tech related, but they were designed and over-engineered and things like that for what they were. So I thought it was a nice enough thing to include.
Yeah.
All right, Bargain Basement. We've got 15 minutes left until the 2-hour deadline. Can't go over the 2 hours. So we're going to start with... oh, yes, I ordered this yesterday because I think I need one. This is the Silkland 4K HDMI cable, 2 meters. It's a ultra high speed 4K HDMI cable, which does 4K at 60 hertz, 3D Ethernet, all that kind of stuff through. So you can plug it into your phone and get your phone on your TV, or plug it into your laptop and get your laptop on the TV.
As long as you've got the right kind of phone.
Yes, that's true. True, very true. It is HDMI 2.0B, which I'm pretty sure is... Or is it 2.2? Ooh. 2.2 might be the faster speed. But this is $3.99 down from $9.99, so it'll probably do most things.
That's a good reduction,
But when it comes to a full 4K...
£10 down to £4. That's really good, isn't it?
Yeah, I picked one up, and well, with the 2 meter cable as well, that makes it really quite nice. There's the 8K one as well. That would be the 2.2, wouldn't it? That's the 2.1, which is 8K. It's $5.99. All right. Okay.
I didn't know that they'd split up 2. I thought it was 1.4 or 2. I didn't know there was a subdivision of 2.
Yeah, I think there's 2.1 and 2.2. I don't see the 2.2 very often.
Okay.
If at all. But, yeah, they look to be nice cables, nice braided cables. And now I'm looking at the 8K one, and it says that I purchased one of these last year. And I'm thinking, right, okay, I have one running from there to the... Yeah, I've got the braided cable one. It's a nice cable. Yeah, it's a good thick cable. Mice won't be able to eat through that terribly easily.
No. I do like braided cables. They're very classy looking.
Classy.
Not your
Bit like
normal rubbish.
A nice rotary ashtray.
Indeed. Yes. I just might get a rotary ashtray to look at and not smoke in.
You put your pistachio shells in.
Yeah. Right, the Honor 6 Magic Light at the moment, I better check this is still valid, comes with a free tablet. And
no,
is it not valid? Has it run out?
Oh no, I'm exasperated. Really, a free tablet?
So it's £349 for the phone, and the 99 quid tablet you get for free. If you go to Amazon in the UK, the article that I've linked to says you just have to put it in the basket and it adds the tablet, but actually it doesn't. You've got to. It looks to me as though you've got to claim it afterwards. So it's the usual kind of kerfuffle of kind of filling in a form or something after you bought it. But anyway, yeah, that was a bit of a deal. The Magic 6 Lite, which is. Yeah, it's a decent enough phone. 108 megapixel camera, 256 gigabytes of storage, 8 gigs of RAM, not 16 gigs of RAM, and quite a big battery. Arrives on Android 13. Yeah, it's not quite up to date with that, I suppose, but Honor devices are quite nice. You had an Honor phone, didn't you, for a while?
I've had a few over the years. Yeah, I like them. They're generally pretty reliable and have a good overlay over Android. Yeah.
Oh, look, I've got two in a row here. Soundcore Motion X600 is down from... We spoke about this on the show a while ago because it's got this kind of spatial sound thing going on, which actually works very well. 199 quid, down to 139 quid. There's a £10 voucher, and it's now 129 quid. And I think that's really well worth it. I think it challenges the Marshall speakers that I've got access to here as well in terms of quality sound. So, yeah, nice little bargain for that one.
Absolutely. I'm going to go for a couple of pluggy type things because I noticed Anker USB-C plug, which is like a sort of square plasticky thing that allows you to plug in a bunch of USBs into your computer, is down in price from 40 quid to £27.98p. This is a PIQ 3.0 GAN 4-port charger with fast wall charging with dual USB. I said plug it into your computer, didn't I? No, I suppose you could, couldn't you? 45 watt max output for efficient charging for MacBooks, iPads, iPhones, USB Type-Cs, and it's down in price. It's good to see these things coming down in price because they were pretty expensive when they first came out. And Anker is a brand we like.
We do, and I particularly like the look of that thing. I've eyed that up once or twice and thought, I don't really need one, but if I did, I would be all over that. It looks great, and it's really cheap, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's kind of an odd little shape. It would be nice if they put like a cup holder or something on the top, or maybe a wireless charger on the top, so you could set your device on it that way and charge it too. That'd be cool.
It would. Right, now, apparently, I'm going to highlight a couple of Amazon Basics micro SD cards here. The 512GB version is 38 quid with 3 months to pay for me, and the 1TB version is 99 quid with 5 months to pay. However, if you deep dive into the Keeper data, this is not the cheapest they've been, which really surprised me, because I didn't think I'd ever seen particularly the 0.5 terabyte one at 38 quid before, but apparently you can. They did, probably for about 2.5 minutes on a sale day, but that's a really good price. Presuming the Amazon Basic cards are decent enough. I've never had one, I don't think, so I'm not sure, and I'm not sure who makes them for Amazon. But anyway, yeah, some deals there.
Yeah, looking back, there's November 16th to December, or November 29th or 30th, it was down to $29.99. So it must have been about for a while. Nice, yeah, it's getting cheaper. Right, next up is Anker again, and this is a USB-C plug, and it's a 25 watt USB-C charger with a USB-C cable as well that supports PPS fast charging for the Samsung Galaxy S23 and all of its relevant brothers and sisters, has been dropped in price from 16 quid down to £12.79p. So if you need a good fast charger, plus cable too, this might be what you're looking for. But 25 watts, some people may say that's not the fastest. But
I was wondering why they were. What was the rationale of the devices that they were quoting there? And I thought, oh yeah, because they're all 25 watt charging. That makes sense. But then they've included the S23 Ultra, which is 45 watt charging. So that doesn't make sense after all.
Yeah, but it's a bit of a price drop, so I figured that would be decent.
£12.79. Have you got shares in Anker?
No, I just was looking through their stuff today and I thought, ooh, I'd have that if I needed it.
Western Digital 22 terabyte hard disk drive, spinning drive, of course, is reduced to $399 from $445. But for me, there's 5 months to pay for anyone that wanted one. I've still got my 16 terabyte one here that's not put up yet. But if I was in the market for one, that's like 10% off, and it's a lot of money to pay for a spinning hard disk drive. But you know.
Well, I'm just having a look. The 20 terabyte one is £406, so it's cheaper
Yeah,
than
yeah.
you get 2 terabytes for free and a little bit of change. Yeah, I'd have this shucked and into my Synology if I wanted to spend £400 on
Are
it.
they offering you 80 quid at 5 months?
No, they're not, the bastards. Not that I would. No,
No,
I
no,
wouldn't
no.
be spending that kind of money.
But somebody listening might kind of jump at that, because I think that paying it over 5 months makes a huge difference. Well, it doesn't really, I suppose, but it makes you feel better about yourself.
It does, but you're, in the last couple of months, looking at it going, oh, is it ending soon? I'm sick of this coming out.
I did that with my Pixel 7 last year. I bought from Amazon on 12 months payment, and the last payment went out a while ago. I thought, good grief, just exactly what you're saying. Am I still paying for that? Even though it was interest free, and you think, yes, I've got one over them.
Yeah. And now the phone's woefully out of date, and if you sold it on eBay, you'd get nothing for it. Maybe the £12.93.
It's perfectly functional, thank you.
All right, the last one is the Samsung Galaxy Smart Tag 2. This is Bluetooth tracker. It's a pack of 1, but there is a pack of 4 on there as well if you've got big money. This has been dropped in price by 14% from £35 down to £29.95. But there is an additional voucher you can tick the box of on Amazon's website that will reduce the price by £6.62 as well, down to £23.33, which I think is a good limited time offer. But
that's a strange amount.
If you want one of their new ones,
who would apply a voucher for £6.62? That's just such an odd amount for a voucher. Perhaps it's a percentage.
It is. Yeah, it probably is. Yeah, it's another 10% off or something like that. But I do like these smart tags, and I'm really, really liking to try one of these.
What would you do with it?
But I attach it to my wife's car key so that she can find them every once in a while. And her phone as well, because she's forever using the Ring My Device thing at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Are these the ones that plug into the Galaxy kind of system like the Apple ones do? So if it's out and about and other Galaxy users are near it, it will track it.
Yeah. And I do think they should come to some sort of understanding that just Android and Apple can communicate with all of these things. They just have one universal ping, and then it can help track down, rather than having to rely on someone with a Galaxy or someone with an iPhone being near it.
Google will work.
Say, for example, you lose your AirTag, your Apple AirTag in the Samsung factory, then you're screwed.
Google are working on that, but they haven't got there yet, and it's gonna be an Android wide. It won't include Apple, but it's an Android wide, worldwide thing. Every single Android phone in the world will be part of the network, but they haven't got there yet.
No, but they might do someday. And in the meantime, you can get this. 23 quid isn't too bad for that peace of mind. You can stick it in your car, and if someone nicks your car, then you know where they go.
Very good. Now, if we've still got a few minutes left, if you scroll down to the Harkback at the bottom, right down the bottom, I was about to put that Sega AI computer from 1986 in Harkback. I don't know if you want to have a look at that. We're not quite on 2 hours, and I thought you might have something to say about that. It's all a bit lost on me, but it's right in your era, isn't it?
No, it's
not.
Never heard of it
Haven't
before.
you?
But we could talk about it in Harkback next week. I'll do my research on it.
Okay.
Because it looks
I
interesting.
thought you'd know all about that. Just ignore me. Back to where you were.
Okay. Ooh, it uses hue cards. Oh, right. Well, we'll talk about it next week. We'll throw it in Harkback.
Okay.
Because it's decorated on like a frickin' ashtray.
That was a good one. I like that. It was as good as my phone boxes, I reckon.
All right. Well, then I'll do Crossroads next week. Okay. Well, they used a certain amount of ashtrays as well in that show.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So if you want to get in touch with us, you can by contacting us at gareth@techaddicts.uk, and you can find me on Twitter at Gareth Miles, GarethMyles. I also have my Mastodon, where I masticate my
you
food. And I have my GarethMiles.com, and there's all kinds of links on there too. Ted, where might people be able to find you?
They can find me at masticating at tedsalmon.com. Links to all our audio podcasts and our MeWe groups all come out from there. And if you want to buy me a copy, you can do that. It's paypal.me/Ted Salmon. We've got a Projector Room coming this week, another podcast. We had a Whatever Works last week. Actually, Projector Room this week will be quite good, I think. So don't forget to tune in. It should be with you on Wednesday. Well, unless Gareth's got some sort of meeting to go to on Wednesday evening, in which case it might be Thursday.
It might be quite good this week. You mean it's never not?
Well, exactly. I rest your case.
All right. Well, we'll catch up with you in 2 weeks' time for more tech fuel nonsense. Take care now.